vaccines being distributed based on skin color first in order that we provide equity. So it's not based on your health risk, assuming
Hmm.
that the vaccines do what they're supposed to do. Let's just avoid that topic entirely because it doesn't matter in this case. But they're distributed based on your race. Farm aid was given out based on somebody's race. So black farmers, according to the Biden administration, rose to
Hmm.
the top of the heap. And then you had Biden announced that he was nominating somebody to the Supreme Court who would only be black and female. And that represents 5% approximately of the population of the United States. So, in not picking the best candidate, but advancing black and female, if I were to choose somebody who was a white male and only a white male, could you rightfully accuse me of racism?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can people not rightfully accuse Joe Biden and this administration, given the three examples, of racism
Mhm.
based on the fact that they're picking people and prioritizing people based on skin color?
Yeah, so I would say with the Supreme Court case, again, I didn't follow that super closely, but if the selection pool was limited to black and female, as like no one else is even considered, I would have a problem with that. I can see where they might be coming from with that, but absolutely, if that were to be happening on a national scale, that poses logistical and ethical difficulties in a lot of situations.
Well,
Um,
yeah. Well, at
in
least
terms
I
of,
can
yeah.
say that you're consistent in terms of the fact that you can call that out. So
Mhm.
that is what prevents you from being, as you said, on the woke scale, you're not an eight because the eights are going to be able to fight, are just going to say, no, it's equity, it's black female's time, she's well qualified. What you're saying has no bearing, and then call me racist. So thank you for being fair and honest about these things. So just,
Yeah, sure. No, I
credit.
appreciate that. What I will
Yeah.
say about the vaccine rollout is that my understanding was people high risk, immunocompromised, elderly were the first in line, and then you had health. Well, I guess healthcare workers were right up there too. So I didn't hear anything about any racially based priority. So
Yeah.
that's something I couldn't say anything about.
Well, fair enough. You'll just have to trust me that the government and Governor of Vermont announced such a program. It's been
Okay.
proposed in various woke circles, and they've tried to do it. And certainly with the black farmers that were going to receive COVID aid before everybody else, and
Hmm.
the same with the restaurateurs. I mean, it is just a pattern of racism by the Biden administration and the left. And this is something that I absolutely despise on a personal level because I want to live by the words of Martin Luther King, which is judge people by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. I want that to be the most boring thing alive. But it seems to me, and that the woke make skin color such a huge issue that they're reinvigorating negative racial relations in the United States. Is
Mm.
there any truth to what I'm proposing here?
I think it is a double edged sword in that some of these conversations around historical occurrences, like you said, systemic racism was absolutely, I think nobody can argue that was absolutely something that America had
It's
going
just a
on for a
fact.
long time. Yeah.
It's just a fact.
So I think having the discussions about what is in the course of world history, really recent history, absolutely helpful in that sense to be able to have us as a society confront that. The way it's being handled, and again, this is where I'm go on a 4 instead of like 7 or 8, is that I don't. You're right. I do see a lot of the hostilities being opened up because of the way that conversation is being had in a way that is, it's hard to be respectful. It's hard for two of us on relative opposite ends of the spectrum to sit down and have a conversation without it degenerating into name calling.
I haven't found any difficulty. I think I'm very curious as to your viewpoints on things. I don't know whether or not you feel like calling me a name or something, but I haven't had that inclination. But maybe we're
Right,
talking
right.
about